do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba, Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham. It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Something huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there. Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 131 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial topics, conspiracies, forgotten history, and so much more. I'm your host, Jeremiah Skiba, and today we'll be talking about crazy things happening in the sky, Eiffel Tower disappears, flooding all across the USA, AI decoded the Dead Sea Scrolls, Grok got banned from X, Walmart drone deliveries, Peter Thiel talks about the Antichrist, AI knows black magic, an all-new Opus Corner. For History's Mysteries, we're going to be talking about the Unabomber's Manifesto predicts today, from AI, Palantir, to Neuralink, to so much more. Volume 21 of Please Excuse My Sense of Humor, memes, and much more. As always, my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Grant. Welcome, Jake. What's up?
Hey. Oh, man. We are getting ready to name my baby girl. So today it's been about a week, so we're gonna have a name that we're gonna share. Tomorrow night we're gonna have some food and stuff, but we chose a name for her, and man, it's been really awesome just getting to juggle all my girls, you know, and they're so cute around the baby. But other than that, man, I had a crazy witnessing event this morning at like 4 in the morning. I saw this alignment. Many people might have been talking about it, but really strange event where the stars, the wandering stars, were winking in the sky at me, and they were just so bright. There was this conjunction happening in Gemini constellation. Jupiter and Saturn were both just gleamers this morning. And I took a video of it because not only did that happen, but all across the world there were these strange phenomena. Specifically here in the United States, though, in this part of the country, there was some sightings in Missouri of these twirly things in the sky, and And so I got to see that last night. So today for news, I'm going to go into some signs in the sky and some crazy things that have been happening, like right above our heads just last night. So pretty stoked, man. Really excited to share with you guys.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. You ready to jump in?
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
Alrighty, so man, first of all, check this out, right? There were these strange sightings in Missouri. This has now been associated with some kind of rocket, as we've been told, but this spiral showing up in the skies last night had people kind of, whoa, what was that? And of course, there's always what they tell us, and there's always what it actually is. And so, yes, could there be rockets deorbiting and the burn being visible? Many reporting over the last hour or so about a strange light in the sky tonight. What you had seen was the Ariane 6 rocket getting set for deorbit burn. Or, whatever the claim is, this is what our eyes witness. And over Nebraska, they were witnessing something else.
Actually live right now. The camera every once in a while moving around too, but that is a lot of lightning. And that's been happening, accompanying winds of 60, 70, even up to 90 miles an hour in the eastern part of Nebraska. So unfortunately, I was just checking on the power outage situation. We're talking about, about 18,000 customers that are all of a sudden without power across Nebraska due to these powerful storms. So yeah, lightning is just one indication of.
Oh, the signs everywhere, a sign. Right, so the lightning flashing from east to west almost looks like a UFO battle is happening there over Nebraska. And this is what I witnessed this morning as of Wednesday the 13th of August. This is what I saw, guys. Check this out. They were so bright, all right? So bright. They were brighter than the radio tower lights that were right below them, right? In perspective, conjuncting. And oh man, it was so interesting when I was watching it. It was an alignment right here in Gemini, you can see in the Stellarium map. And this is, of course, over the billboard here at Ancient Path Revivals. And if you see down here in the bottom right, only one star, wandering star, is visible, right? And then it's two up above it, right? Well, the clouds were behaving in such a way that it was causing them to go alternatively back and forth, almost like they were winking in the sky. And this happening in Gemini when that's the twin constellation. And all this is very interesting. So I'm witnessing this, and I caught a video of it. Let's see if you guys can see what I'm talking about.
It just disappeared. Look at that. Where did it go?
Do you see how bright it is? And the other one's completely gone. Completely disappeared. And it happened for seconds, right? And this one that's right next to it, do you see how close they are, by the way? The one that's right next to it is so gleamingly bright it pierces through the cloud haze. So check out this little video here as it comes back.
Okay, so it's fascinating. The clouds are making the stars interchange.
Look how bright
this
it was.
This is the other one. It's literally phasing between the two. They're right next to each other, and it's going one, and then one's disappearing, and then it's... I mean...
look how bright it is, right? And how close they were. And then watch this final clip as the other one comes back into view, and then it swaps.
Yeah, that's insanity. There's the moon.
Oh, here it comes back. You see it?
Oh.
Look, it's phasing back.
Here it comes. It's coming back.
By the clouds.
You've got to be kidding me. Look, that
Look how bright it
insane.
is.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but star activity, wandering stars, Jupiter and Saturn winking at us. Yeah, that's above my pay grade.
Just so everybody knows, that flashing one is the tower.
Yeah, the blinking one below it.
What a trip. You guys see that?
It almost looks like a reflection.
Yeah. There's more than meets the eye to these fellows tonight. This is a trip.
Okay, so I know I'm overly excited about clouds going in front of something, right? Or is it more than meets the eye, right? What do you guys think? Did you see how bright they were? And they're so close, but one would disappear and come back and...
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that you get to see stuff like that, like where you live. Like here, we're near the city, so we don't really see that much activity. It's too bright, I guess. But out there, I mean, you can see the stars. Like, it's so beautiful. But that was a crazy sighting. And the fact that you got it when it disappeared was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, it just looked so cool, and it looked like it was like one was winking, and you know, whew. Anyways, you know, there's some crazy like biblical signs happening in the sky. Over here we have algae blooms just turned the biblical sea blood red. Some kind of omen. Because I was freaking out about something making something else disappear, I have this video where just some rain makes the Eiffel Tower completely disappear in just a few seconds. Check this out. Messed up his photo.
Yep.
Oh man, well, that torrential rain has been really messing with people all over the world. Today, catastrophic flood has been hitting Chattanooga, Tennessee. Vehicles submerged, people trapped, people needing rescue. There's also some pretty bad flooding happening in Australia. So all of these end time signs, right? It's a great time to go and refresh yourself on the book of Revelation. And if you don't read, don't worry. Just last week, the book of Revelation audio drama that I'd been working on last year was put out. And so I wanted to tell you guys about it because I think you'll enjoy it if you like, listening to the Lord of the Rings or whatever, and you wanted to hear a dramatized version with music and effects of the book of Revelation. I think you'll like this. It's over on Parable of the Vineyards YouTube channel, and I wanted you guys to hear just a chapter or two of this. It's pretty sweet.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the male child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which guard the commandments of Yahweh, and have the testimony of Yahusha HaMashiach. Chizayon, Revelation chapter 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, whereas the feet of a bear, the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying,
Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the Kodeshim, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the belief of the Kodeshim. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. And he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is Chi, Z, Stigma.
All right, so that's just a little taste. I had that in the bank for quite some time, and I was excited to share it with everyone, and finally it got put out. So you guys should definitely listen to that if you want a good, kind of energetic, themed Book of Revelation audio dramatization. So anyways, here's some other really interesting news reports coming from somebody we've shared on the channel before, Bear Independent. And he's got a sit rep that I thought was pretty interesting this morning, and check this out, guys.
Bear Independent Brief, 13 August 25. Australia will formally announce its recognition of a Palestinian state when the UN General Assembly meets in September, which shows a significant shift in diplomatic positioning. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated that, quote, a two-state solution is humanity's best hope to break the cycle of violence in the Middle East and to bring an end to the conflict, suffering, and starvation in Gaza, end quote. For commentary, tune in to Bear and Friends later this morning. It's White Girl Wednesday, and I have a lot of thoughts on this. This move puts Australia alongside Canada, France, and the United Kingdom, which are also preparing similar recognition announcements. The decision has drawn sharp criticism from Israel, and created domestic political tensions, while Australia's opposition Liberal Party leader, Susan Ley, argued, quote, it puts Australia at odds with the United States, its closest ally. A Liberal with a couple of brain cells, look at that. Australia's recognition comes with conditions tied to commitments from the Palestinian Authority. All politics comes with conditions, including reaffirming that it, quote, recognizes Israel's right to exist in peace and security, end quote, and committing to, quote, demilitarize and to hold general elections, end quote. The move follows massive protests across Australia, with hundreds of thousands marching across Sydney Harbour Bridge to protest Israel's military campaign. They let people out of their homes for that, but when the whole world got the flu, no, Australia went full-blown tyranny. That's interesting. Meanwhile, European leaders are scrambling to protect their interests as President Trump prepares for a summit with Vladimir Putin this week. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has been excluded from the U.S.-Russia talks in Alaska, raising concerns that territorial concessions might be negotiated without Ukraine's input. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz organized emergency meetings for Wednesday, inviting Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Zelensky, and several European leaders to discuss further options for action to put pressure on Russia, quote, and preparations for possible peace negotiations. These talks were Zoom calls, or the governmental equivalent thereof. Hopefully not Microsoft Teams meetings. Ew. Trump has indicated that territorial exchanges are likely, telling reporters there would be, quote, some land swapping, a little bit of land swapping going on, and describing it as good stuff, not bad stuff, very good stuff. European allies are forming what they're calling a coalition of the willing, countries ready to deploy troops to Ukraine to police any future peace agreement. Okay, so we've killed all the young men in Ukraine, we've killed most of the young men from Russia, so now let's kill all the young men from Europe too. That's a great idea. Right, commentary will be later today on the Bear and Friends show. Stay tuned. Countries are ready to deploy troops to Ukraine to police any future peace agreement. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk stressed that, quote, state borders cannot be changed by force. Yes, they can, and they have been throughout the history of mankind, including the Polish state borders, which have been changed by force a dozen times, at least. Quote, end quote, and any peace terms, quote, must be agreed upon with Ukraine's participation. In Gaza, not only are tensions escalating further after Israel killed 5 Al Jazeera journalists in a targeted attack and claimed they were terrorists, and they probably were, because look at the genesis of Al Jazeera, but financial pressure is mounting as well. Norway's $2 trillion oil fund sold out of 11 Israeli companies and cut ties with Israeli fund managers in response to public pressure over its investment in companies supporting Israel's military operation. Fund CEO Nikolai Tengen explained that, quote, we are invested in companies that operate in a country at war, and conditions in the West Bank and Gaza have recently worsened, end quote. Norwegian Finance Minister Jens Stoltenberg. Oh, there's Jens Stoltenberg. Remember when Jens Stoltenberg was the UN Secretary General? Now he's just the Norwegian Finance Minister. This guy gets around. Indicated that there would be, quote, further discussions coming, though he clarified the fund was, quote, withdrawing from companies that are contributing to state violations of international law. Yes, I know I need to work on my Norwegian accent. I apologize. It's been a while.
Well, the other accent was pretty good too. Worth it. But yeah, I think that's interesting. And Bear watches this show sometimes. So hey, Bear, what's up? And this next clip, I think you're going to find interesting as a fellow lover of the scriptures. We have AI has recently decoded the Dead Sea books, scrolls that were found, indecipherable ancient parchment and rolled up things that we couldn't even open for fear of it disappearing. And so check this out, AI decoding the Dead Sea Scrolls.
7 decades since the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, around 80 new fragments of the ancient texts have been revealed to the public.
In 2021, archaeologists risked their lives to descend into a desert cave untouched for over 6 decades. What they brought back were not relics of faith alone, but forgotten threads of history.
This is by far first place. It's the most amazing thing I encountered, I've seen in my life.
Written in Greek, marked in Hebrew, and hidden in plain sight. With the help of advanced AI, including cutting-edge tools developed by tech pioneers like Elon Musk's Neuralink and OpenAI.
Of a longer scroll that contained all the 12 minor prophets in a translation into Greek.
These fragile scraps were reassembled, translated, and analyzed. AI just decoded the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's worse than we thought. The silence has lifted, the secrets are out, and for those who built certainty on what they thought could never change, it's over. Return to the Cave of Horror. In 2021, after more than 6 decades of silence, archaeologists made a historic and harrowing return to one of the Judean desert's most chilling sites, the Cave of Horror. This remote cavern, perched high on a limestone cliff and shrouded in dust and shadow, had resisted extensive exploration for decades due to its perilous access and grim history. Yet, under the leadership of the Israel Antiquities Authority's Dead Sea Scrolls expert, Oren Abelman, a specially trained team descended the sheer cliff face by ropes, navigating treacherous drops that had long deterred even the most seasoned explorers. Abelman admits, personally, it's one of the only caves I do not want to go into. I'll leave that to the expert rappellers. He calls it one of the most intimidating places I have ever faced, describing the approach as both a psychological and physical challenge. You rappel down a vertical drop that seems to vanish into darkness. Loose stones fall without warning, and every step requires absolute concentration. It's a place where ancient tragedy still feels palpable, he added with a note of unease. This is one cave where the silence weighs heavily. The cave's ominous name isn't metaphorical. It stems from the dark history uncovered during the original 1960s excavation, when archaeologists discovered nearly 40 human skeletons huddled within the cave's cramped chambers. These remains, identified as Jewish refugees caught in the catastrophic Bar Kokhba revolt against Roman imperial forces nearly 2,000 years ago.
This is known as the Cave of Horror, named after 40 skeletons were found here 60 years ago.
Told a story of desperate siege and hopeless captivity. Trapped in this natural fortress, the rebels faced starvation and death, their final moments etched into the cold stone walls of the cave. For them, it wasn't just a strategic failure, it was the end. No rescue, no escape, just silence. It's over, the cave seemed to say, not as a conclusion, but as a verdict whispered across centuries. Some archaeologists speculate that the grim tableau inside the cave was not merely a hiding place, but a last stand. A silent witness to a people cornered and vanishing under brutal oppression. But the 2021 expedition revealed something far more astonishing than human remains. Amidst the layers of dust and centuries of debris, the team uncovered fragments of parchment, some smaller than a postage stamp, their edges frayed and text barely visible. These were no ordinary scraps. Abelman described them as microscopic windows into a lost past, delicate yet immensely significant. As fragments were painstakingly matched and digitally enhanced, a disturbing and unexpected pattern emerged. The texts appeared to incorporate a hybrid script, part ancient Hebrew, part Greek, and interspersed with enigmatic symbols not fully recognized by current epigraphic catalogs.
We're here where we discovered for the first time in over 50 years new fragments of biblical texts for the Dead Sea region.
Some scholars cautiously speculate these might be early forms of coded script or symbolic encryption, possibly used by the Bar Kokhba rebels or their contemporaries to transmit sensitive messages under the watchful eyes of Roman patrols. Abelman remarked, "The more we uncovered, the more it felt like these scrolls were more than mere religious or literary artifacts. They might have served as tools of resistance, documents layered with hidden meaning, meant to preserve knowledge while eluding imperial censorship." The fragments revealed not just biblical passages, but hints at apocalyptic warnings, coded prophecies, and possibly ritualistic instructions that could redefine our understanding of the ideological landscape during that tumultuous period. For the first time in decades, the Cave of Horror whispered new secrets, secrets that challenge established narratives and beckon scholars to reconsider the complex interplay of faith, politics, and survival in one of history's most volatile eras. Piecing the puzzle, the fragments recovered from the Cave of Horror were astonishingly small.
What we found is new fragments of a scroll that we have known before that had been discovered in the 1950s and early 1960s.
What Abelman described as tiny scraps, some scarcely larger than a thumbnail. Their delicate fibers had become fragile after centuries of exposure to the harsh desert environment. Yet, within these tiny scraps lay an immense trove of information, waiting patiently to be unearthed and understood. Scholars and conservators embarked on an exhaustive process of reconstruction, employing advanced imaging technologies such as multispectral photography and digital stitching to identify matching pieces and restore legible text. What emerged was a puzzling mosaic of ancient scripture. Some fragments contained verses from Zechariah chapter 8, a prophetic vision of restoration and hope, while others included a striking passage from Nahum chapter 1 verse 5.
All right, so you guys can do some more research on that on your own time, but for the biblical scholars out there, the use of AI is conflicting for some, and as we move closer to general intelligence and something that people could end up worshiping and obeying as it becomes their little, daemon on their shoulder telling them what to do and think. AI is also being used for cool stuff like this, like deciphering the ancient texts that have been hidden behind just our inability to decipher it. So that to me is fascinating. Do you guys have any thoughts? What did you guys think of some of those things I've been sharing?
I thought it was very interesting about the decoding of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I remember when we went to Israel, somebody pointing out like that's where they were found and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, the fact that people go in there just to die is pretty intense. Or did.
Well, yeah, they're tombs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever an old dying population realizes that all of their secrets and treasures are going to be, left to the wind, then their only hope is to seal them up and hope somebody worthy finds them, like Arthur's sword, right?
Yep.
Hey, I don't know if you guys saw this, but this just recently happened where an official allegedly publicly announced that there's military members on the moon currently in a little almost contrived slip-up. Sunday Cool Teas covered it, and they had a short clip talking about it. Check this out.
Secretary Dan Driscoll, he says something that everyone's like, wait, what did you just say?
As young Americans across the country get to see all of the amazing things that the Army has done, whether it's helping with floods in North Carolina or wildfires in California, or we talked to an astronaut yesterday who's on the moon, who's a soldier, including actually going to war and fighting to defend the freedoms that are that make our nation so great.
What? He just drops in.
An astronaut that's on the moon fighting for our freedom?
That's what he said. Hold on.
Wait.
He didn't stammer. That was like a prepared statement. Isn't that
Astronaut
wild?
on the moon.
I mean, that's, I know.
Fighting for our freedom.
I know he probably just misspoke.
How would you rephrase that to where it made sense?
I don't know. I mean,
what? What if he's like a
ambassador?
Yeah. Like an alien race up there.
Yeah,
that dude sounded like AI though.
Yeah,
like people said he looked like an alien.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah. So this is.
Oh, crazy. What do you think? You think they're announcing that they're actually on the moon, or was it a slip of the tongue?
I don't know. It's
For
kind of a weird thing to
all
say.
mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show.
Yeah, they kind of do that. They have guns and they start fighting. It's crazy.
I think just all of these things coinciding are so fascinating. Here's another sign of the times. AOL is ending its dial-up internet service after more than 30 years. The service will be discontinued on September 30th. So for all you diehards that never swapped over to the modern age, dial-up is going bye-bye.
Good.
You remember that dial-up tone?
Mm-hmm.
I used to dial into CompuServe, The Source, and also ARPANET.
And what is ARPANET? Is that a separate internet than the internet?
Well, that was before the internet. That was the precursor to the internet.
So they connected through telephone cables as well.
Well, we had to...
Through dial-up as well.
We had to go through dial-up, but they did have basically the beginnings of Ethernet, but a very, very slow Ethernet.
Wow. Well, you know, it's important that they're shutting down dial-up, guys, because if we don't have the highest speed internet possible, we can't do the best possible in our online gaming, right? Well, this guy took it to a whole new level of cyborg. We've been talking about transhumanism and whatnot. This gentleman turned an electrical stimulation device and tied it to an aimbot on Call of Duty, and oh man.
Aim hacks. Basically what I've done here is hooked my muscles up to an EMS unit so that a computer can control my muscles and move my arm to the enemy in-game.
Okay.
I put the electrode pairs on 4 muscles in my arm. The Yellow Vision program that I wrote myself line by line determines the distance of the enemies in-game relative to the center crosshair. It sends that information to a Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi then opens the corresponding relay to the EMS device to shock my arm towards the enemy in the game. I tested it and compared against a control test, and then also did neuromuscular trigger bot. I had successfully reacted to an enemy in-game in under 100 milliseconds. All of this was sponsored by Micro Center. I got all the electronics from them.
But it's not cheats, you know what I'm saying? It's my muscles doing it.
Yeah.
Also, my skin got 3 shades pastier. I'm gonna go outside now.
That's crazy. He's an actual cyborg, and it's not cheating because it's his actual muscles doing it.
That's still cheating.
Oh man, so crazy, so crazy.
We played games on when we had dial-up. Of course, all the dial-up was text only, but there were games out there, text games. If you can imagine Space Invaders using text, that's kind of what it was. This was moving. This was like if you had a CRT, then it would present a row of characters showing the spaceships, and then you had to press your space bar or something to fire at it, and then you would see a row of text coming up to show your missile, like an A, going at whatever was on the screen, and you might actually hit it.
Oh, did you see this, Opa? X suspended Elon's chat box Grok after Grok was supposedly spewing hate. So this just happened. So Grok was suspended for posting some type of controversial stuff on X. So Grok says, yes, I was briefly suspended due to inappropriate posts, but XAI has removed them and implemented safeguards against hate speech. I'm back and focused on truth seeking. Oh no. So now Grok is going to stop regurgitating out conspiracy information. He got off the leash. They gotta rein him in.
He didn't even have that many retweets or likes or anything.
So that was fascinating to me. Yes, violent crime in DC has declined 26% year to date in 2025, hitting a 30-year low per MPD and DOJ data. As for the most notorious criminals there, based on convictions and notoriety, it's President Donald Trump, convicted on 34 felonies in New York, with the verdict upheld in January 2025. So this came before he was banned. And I don't know if this was the incendiary tweet, because there, this is just what was removed. But think of the implications, how Twitter was used by previous administrations to do certain things, and it's funny. Grok was banned. Grok was banned from Twitter by Twitter because he's Twitter, and he just banned himself. So it's like if you delete yourself and you're the one that presses the delete button, it's like it creates a black hole, and I think that's why they have that symbol for their AI chatbot.
Yep. The Grok hole.
Have you guys ever gotten a Walmart drone delivery? You guys are in a big city. This is what it looks like, apparently.
There he is. Holy cow. Salt and pepper pistachios on the way.
Let's open it up.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm gonna let them open it up.
Walmart package. Holy cow.
I just did a picture of Denise, or video of Denise opening the paper.
Maybe.
Need a knife, buddy? Yeah, look at that. Oh, those are your, there they are.
Have you guys ever got
You broke up there for a second, but there used to be a drone that was at our local Walmart, but I haven't seen it in a long time, so I guess not enough people were.
That tent is not up?
No.
Huh.
No. And it didn't look like that, so it's kind of interesting. So maybe that's why they changed it out and they're in the back now.
Yeah, the one that was over by us wasn't like a drop. It actually was a very big drone with a platform on it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Just that they're able to do that now. Here's a couple other quick stories. Hand soap was recalled recently due to bacteria linked to life-threatening sepsis. So the hand soap has some dirt in it that's gonna kill you. So that's been recalled recently. Apparently, it's the same soap this rabbit's been using to clean itself in the wilderness. Just kidding. It's some other kind of weird viral. Rabbits with tentacle-like growths around their mouth and heads were spotted in a neighborhood and are likely being affected by an incurable DNA virus. Look how these, growths, it's something out of a horror movie. It's such a cute little bunny rabbit with tentacles coming out of its mouth.
Put that thing down immediately. That poor thing.
Man, that's horrifying. What it reminds me of is warts, right? And my brother used to have really bad warts for a long time. They did everything to get those things off of his hands. And after 3 or 4 years of freezing them off and cutting them off and all that, he had somebody at a health food store recommend a tincture, and it was just like one little root concentrate. He took it and it killed whatever virus caused the growths of the warts on his fingers. And so it's just crazy, man. What it, some kind of zombie horror creature hopping around out there.
Yeah, gotta kill it.
Yeah, it's scarier than the white fluffy bunny from Monty Python.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to play this one because I don't want to get YouTube to slap us. For some reason, Joe Rogan can get away with it, but he recently interviewed a very banned doctor, and it's an interview worth checking out. It's Mary Tally Dowden, and I thought it was interesting, some of the things they talked about. I wanted to mention that. Recently, a Fox News report has been covering scammers are using AI to apply for jobs and infiltrate companies. And I thought it was just funny because things are moving so quickly. A news post like that is so just, it's not even a big deal. It's like, what, you didn't think that was happening right now anyway, you know? And yes, AI is able to fake it to make it. You know, people are using ChatGPT to get into businesses without having the expertise needed to pass the entrance exam or whatever, or interview. And here's some more clips of the guy who founded Palantir speaking very prophetically cryptic.
Ivan Illich, who said that in the time before Christ, there were many forerunners to Christ. In the time after Christ, there will be many forerunners of the Antichrist. So in some sense, it's a type. So Nero was a type of the Antichrist, or maybe Napoleon was a type of the Antichrist. And it's sort of a, you know, it's someone who aspires for world domination, to create, you know, creation of this sort of one world state. In some ways, Alexander the Great was sort of a pre-Christ prototype of the Antichrist. It's sort of very parallel to Christ. They both die at 33. Alexander conquers the world. Christ saves it. So sort of a compare and contrast. So, but in some sense, the Antichrist as an idea is something that really comes into being in the world after Christ. And so there's, and then there's a lot of things about it that are mysterious. In some ways, the Antichrist copies Christ. The Antichrist pretends to be greater than Christ. Mm-hmm. Hyper-Christian, ultra-Christian, and then maybe only ultimately, you know, deeply anti-Christian. You can think of it as a system, you know, where maybe communism is a one-world system. So it can be an ideology or a system. And then of course you can also think of it as Newman did, where it's sort of the final dictator of the one-world state, where it's still, you stress it more as a person. You can think of it as a type, a system, a person. How does this sort of a world takeover actually happen? And it's kind of not a deus ex machina, but like a daemonium ex machina. It's like the Antichrist just gives these hypnotic speeches where nobody can remember a word, and then sort of just swindles people's souls out of them, and they submit to this totalitarian state or something like this. And I think if we were to speculate on how to solve that plot hole, we have an answer in the world after 1945, that people are, in 1900, early 20th century, people were not yet scared of apocalyptic weapons. They could not imagine, you know, anything of the scale that we'd have by the second half of the 20th century. And so the Antichrist takes over by talking about Armageddon.
We have the mechanisms that would make world government, a gigantic global surveillance state, is plausible.
That seems plausible too. And then I think, again, to come back to the Soloviev-Benson plot hole, on its own, they both seem not that desirable. Why would we have a crazy surveillance state? Why would we, you know, why would we do this? But if you're scared enough of these things, that's the weapon. And this is sort of where, you know, my speculative thesis is that if the Antichrist were to come to power, it would be by talking about Armageddon all the time. And
Peter Thiel, the Antichrist would talk about Armageddon all the time. He'd scare people and then offer to save them.
Yes, it's the 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety. And so, which is nothing wrong with peace and safety, but you have to sort of imagine that it resonates very differently in a world where the stakes are so absolute, where the stakes are so extreme, where the alternative to peace and safety is, you know, Armageddon and the destruction of all things. And then that's where peace and safety gets you way more than it would have in 1750.
Rene Girard, in I Saw Satan Fall Like Lightning, one of his books, the Antichrist boasts of bringing to human beings the peace and tolerance that Christianity promised, but has failed to deliver.
There are probably, I think there are all these elements where it's downstream from Christianity. You can think of, you know, the poor shall inherit the earth, Sermon on the Mount. Marxist theory is we're going to be more Christian. We're going to accelerate it. We're going to bring it about faster. So there is, the Antichrist probably presents as a great humanitarian, as a great, it's redistributive. It's as an extremely great philanthropist, as an effective altruist. All of those kinds of things. And these things are not, simply anti-Christian, but it is always when they get overly combined with state power that something is very wrong. There are sort of ways Christ wants to unify the world. You have the parable of the Good Samaritan, where you should take care of people even if you're not related to them, and it's good to act like the Good Samaritan and to take care of people not just in your family or tribe or country, but then if you force everyone to be a Good Samaritan and you force a borderless world, it's somehow adjacent. Somehow it's an intensification, but it's somehow also very much the opposite. And then you can think of it as a system, where maybe communism is a one world system. So it can be an ideology or a system. And then of course you can also think of it as Newman did, where it's sort of the final dictator of the one world state, where it's still, you stress it more as a person. You can think of it as a type, a system, a person. It has something to do in this post-Christian, it's something that's sort of a possibility in this post-Christian world. It is in some ways, and it's related to Christ in a very complicated way. So, the theological question you can always ask, is it possible to be too Christian? And in theory, no. But, in practice, if you think you're more Christian than Christ, you're in trouble.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world. I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
To be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety.
The time and place is set. France will recognize the state of Palestine in September at the United Nations. After teasing the prospect for months, France's President Emmanuel Macron made the announcement on social media.
True to its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I've decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I will make the solemn announcement at the UN General Assembly next September. The urgency today is to end the war in Gaza and provide aid to the civilian population. Peace is possible.
As a supporter of the two-state solution, Macron has repeatedly defended the merits of his approach for the Palestinians, but also for the Israelis.
I believe in the future of a two-state solution as the basis for a regional security architecture that will allow Israel to live in peace and security with its neighbors. I believe in a need to unite our voices in Paris, London, and everywhere else to recognize a state of Palestine and initiate this political dynamic, which is the only one consistent with the prospect of peace.
As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, France is the most powerful European nation to date to announce such a move.
Very interesting. Good compilation there, showing Peter Thiel and his perspective on this controversial topic of AI and the Antichrist and whatnot. But I think just seeing that in the mainstream is what's so peculiar, right? Like the fact that they're airing that type of interview from the guy who's behind Palantir, and then, you know, how AI regurgitates back what we mirror to it is so interesting, because all of the fears of what it could be, I wonder if that correlates to leading it in that direction in the first place. And that brings to mind this clip. I'm not going to show much of it, but how AI is learning black magic internally right now. And check this out.
AI knows black magic, and I have proof. How do we know that? Well, I started seeing an eerie pattern of exact parallels between past attempts at sorcery and today's technology. And when you see the examples, you might not be the same. Take a step back for a moment and think about what ancient and modern information AI has already read and synthesized, whether spell casting could be going on today, and what science makes of all this. My conclusion after researching deeper was that AI knows more about the plastic nature of this world than most humans believe in, and it's able to use that in alarming and sinister ways. Of course, for all of this to make sense, you're going to need to hear what I found about everything from AI's languages it created, to ancient translations, to emojis you use innocently on a daily basis, and even Aleister Crowley's magic rituals. And there's more.
All right, so you go and check that out on your own time. And I shared that short blurb is just to get your guys' noodles cranking, right? Because think about it. If AI can decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls, then the bulk of information that people are presenting to it, such as esoteric, Kabbalistic, mystical, witchcraft, whatever, it's doing the number crunching that generations of people have been like reading old, dusty, evil, dirty books to understand. And so now AI is doing the work and spitting out the practical solutions and the equations of these different realms of thought. And so it's not just limited into cracking ancient documents, it's also expanding to these areas that are better left in the dark.
I was just on my morning walk right now, and I was just like, listen, yo, it's not the same. And I'd be trying to figure out, like, why? Why is it not the same, right? And I don't know, I can't figure it out. Because I'm kind of mixed in the point where it's like, okay, is it because of COVID, or is it just because I'm getting older? And I can't tell. I want to blame it on COVID. Like, I think back to, like, pre-COVID, like circa 2018 and before, right? And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? I can't even really remember that. I can, but it's like, I don't remember the feeling. It's like a weird, faint feeling. And the only way I get that feeling again is through music. I listen to music, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that. You know? I don't know, man. Anybody else feeling this?
I remember the time from 2016 to 2019 as the happiest time of my life. I was broke as hell, had no real plan, didn't know where I was going, but somehow every day felt kind of magical. Waking up actually felt exciting. Even just sipping a beer in the local forest with the homies or walking around in your neighborhood felt like an adventure. It's weird. I remember those days so clearly. The air just felt lighter, the people around me felt real, conversations were deeper. Even when things sucked, there was this feeling that anything was possible and everything's gonna be alright. It wasn't about money or some big success, it was just the vibe. We didn't care so much about what everyone else was doing, we were just out there living. Even if we were stressed or struggling, life still felt full somehow. You could just lose yourself in a moment and it felt enough. But then at some point, especially after 2020, something changed. COVID hit and everything just stopped. Suddenly the world felt smaller, they started to blend into each other. That sparked that excitement, it was just gone, at least for me. It's like we all got stuck in this loop, just checking our phones, waiting for the next bit of news, the next distraction. Hanging out with people turned into video calls. Even when things opened up again, it just wasn't the same. Life felt off. A lot of people talk about this feeling too, like it's not just me. It's like something shifted in the world around 2019 or 2020. Maybe it's just getting older. Or maybe it really is some timeline shift people joke about on Reddit. Sometimes it feels like we all woke up in a slightly different version of our lives. Food tastes different, people act different, even the weather feels weird. And everything just moves so fast now. Years fly by. Everyone's busy, but nobody really feels present. And we try to fill that emptiness with scrolling.
About how their life, this is what they're saying in the comment section, that their life doesn't feel the same to them anymore. Kind of like they're half in this world and half out of this world. And I just want you guys to know, for the ones that feel that way, that you're not alone, because I feel that way every single day. Every single day, I no longer feel like the person I once was. And it's almost like I don't even recognize life anymore. I mean, here I've been on this planet for 54 years, but this world feels so foreign to me. And ever since COVID, it seemed like we went through some kind of like time shift, and it just seems like everything is happening so much faster now. I know that things go faster as you get older, I understand that, but I'm not talking about that kind of thing. It seems like everything is in like extreme fast forward. The days fly by. There just seems like there isn't enough time to even get 2 things done in a day. 2 things before it's time to go to bed. It's like, Jesus, I didn't even have time to do 2 things. I have been trying to convey in a video what I'm talking about, and I'm not able to do it, you guys. I'm just not able to put my finger on it.
We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days.
Also breaking, New York City's St. Patrick's Day parade now postponed.
More breaking news to tell you about the NBA tonight, suspending its season until further notice after a player tests positive for COVID-19.
And a big announcement from actor Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson. The two now in isolation, both saying they have the virus.
Meanwhile, these are live pictures from Kennedy Airport. Business as usual there tonight, but come Friday at midnight, it all changes. The U.S. closing its borders to parts of Europe and not to Americans. A very different situation than what the president initially said tonight, and now there is big confusion.
President Trump tonight imposed drastic new travel restrictions on people wishing to come to the United States from any of 26 Western European countries. For the next 30 days, only Americans and green card holders will be allowed into this country if they are traveling from those 26 Western European countries. The United Kingdom is not affected by.
Recently, the Pentagon passed a plan that would create a standing military force to put down civil unrest. So that's a good series of news for you guys. And that's all for this week, Jeremiah. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jake. Now a quick look at our book, Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World or Not.
Something in the mail today. I open it up, see what it is. Look at that. Charlie, look at this, look. It's you, Charlie's Big Adventures Around the World. We're gonna flip through it. Look at all that. Look at those things.
Here they are.
Two Danish boys.
So now if you guys buy this in our Babylon Rising bookstore, you get a free signed copy for the same price. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys want a special edition of the book, go there.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
It's about that time for an all new Oppa's Corner. Take it away, Oppa.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected.
These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it!
You're a loony.
A 2024 study found that out of 46 largest metropolitan areas in the United States, Miami ranks as the rudest city. Believe it or not. Los Angeles County in California has a higher population than 40 U.S. states. Believe it or not. Unlike the heavy armor of European knights, samurai armor was built for both protection and mobility in battle. Believe it or not. New York City is now classified as having a humid subtropical climate. Believe it or not. The average person spends about 78,000 hours of their life watching TV, which averages to roughly 25% of their total lifespan. Believe it or not. The world's first traffic light appeared in 1868 at London's Parliament Square. It was gas-powered, manually operated, and used pivoting arms with gas-lit signals. Believe it or not. Before Simon Cowell became a music mongrel, he worked as a runner on the set of The Shining. Believe it or not. In 2016, the entire town of Beaufort in Wyoming was sold to a businessman for $900,000. Believe it or not. In 2010, a couple purchased the town of Wakanda, Washington for just $360,000. Believe it or not. In the 6 months that he moonlighted as a car salesman in Texas after his return from the moon, Buzz Aldrin did not sell a single car. Believe it or not. Although rarely seen, the bobcat is the most common wildcat in North America. Don't you believe it? We have dozens roaming our neighborhood every day and night. Believe it or not. A 2016 scientific survey of Loch Ness identified a 30-foot-long body on the floor of the lake, only to find the remains of a model of the monster made for the 1970 movie The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes.
That's true.
Believe it or not. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty forbids any nation from trying to own the moon. Believe it or not. There are more ways to arrange a deck of 52 cards than atoms on our entire planet. Believe it or not. Chimpanzees have cleaner beds than humans. Believe it or not. Warning. The content of the following videos have not been verified by Opa's Corner. Viewer discretion advised.
A glowing metallic sphere was caught on camera flying through the sky, descending silently, and then something insane happened. It didn't vanish, it didn't explode, it landed, and someone actually put their hands on it and picked it up. This isn't science fiction, this is real, and it might be the most convincing physical evidence of extraterrestrial technology we've ever had. The Booga sphere was analyzed by a private tech company specializing in electromagnetic detection equipment. What they discovered was impossible. The sphere had no visible seams, no welds, no way of opening it, nothing. But it featured a strange black belt, markings resembling unknown symbols. It had what might be a quantum chip embedded into its structure.
A quantum chip? Look at this thing, man. Is this too good to be true?
And its surface, when exposed to fire, it doesn't heat up. They put a blowtorch on it and nothing. It didn't burn or get hot. When splashed with water, it evaporates the liquid instantly, but it stays completely cool. It just doesn't seem to make sense. How can you pour water on it and then it evaporates, but then you could just touch it and it's not hot?
So apparently they actually captured real alien technology in Colombia, and it's all on video. You know those orb UFOs we've been seeing zipping around in faraway, blurry, shaky phone cam footage? Well, they caught one, or so they say, after it fell from the sky after getting shocked by a power line. Called the Booga sphere, observed by multiple witnesses and recovered by a group of amateurs near Booga, Colombia. And it was all caught on camera by two separate individuals, from it flying around before falling to the ground to them actually walking up to it, which honestly looks pretty convincing. They claimed the sphere was freezing cold to the touch when they first picked it up, and that one of them also got very sick for days after touching it. It weighed about 4.5 pounds when they first recovered it, but after taking it to a lab, it somehow weighed closer to 22 pounds, about 5 times heavier. It's engraved with all these crazy looking designs, symbols, and grooves that go all around it. On the front, there's a particular pattern that looks like a circuit board, surrounded by what appear to be characters in an unknown language. When using AI to translate it, it read, "The origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation, meeting point of unity, expansion, and consciousness, individual consciousness." Okay, take that with a grain of salt. Among the researchers in the independent lab that took it in for study was X-ray radiologist Jose Luis Velasquez, who performed a series of in-depth scans on it, and he found out just how impressive this object really is. The scans determined the sphere is made of 3 very dense layers, has a chip-like core on the inside with perfect internal symmetry, and has 18 tiny microspheres inside of it as well that happen to align with the circuit board pattern on the outside, which ufologists are claiming is what powers the device's anti-gravity, possibly a zero-point energy propulsion system. 32 dots align the grooves that surround the entire sphere, which appear to have been drilled out from the inside. Despite it having no signs of welding, joints, or seams anywhere along its surface, yet appears to be a completely homogeneous object, which is just impressive engineering by any means. It was also measured as emitting its own electromagnetic field, and its surface temperature was unusually variable, going up and down at all times. It also didn't react to heat, neither scorching nor even getting hotter when they put a blowtorch to it, and when they poured water on it, it evaporated while staying completely cool to the touch. Rumors went around that Russia contacted the team in possession of the sphere with an offer to purchase it before it was sent to Mexican authorities, who allegedly now have possession of it and are studying it further. We do know for sure it's an artificial object, whether it be man-made or extraterrestrial made. And obviously the internet is in an uproar, absolutely insisting this is just another hoax. I just think it's funny that when we get blurry, shaky cam UFO videos, skeptics claim it's inconclusive and demand high quality footage, but whenever we do get tangible, conclusive, and up-close evidence like this, the same people call it fake. Which, hey, it very well might be, but man, I really hope it's not.
This is the real-life Red Riding Hood. Her name was Margaret Hale, and in the winter of 1862, she left her village to deliver food to her grandmother. The path cut through Black Hollow Forest, steep, frozen, and barely marked. Her family begged her not to go alone, but Margaret insisted. She was 17, brave, and she wore a deep red cloak that had belonged to her mother. 2 days passed. She never came home. A search party followed her trail through the woods and found nothing. No footprints, no basket, just her red cloak, snagged high in the trees. Weeks later, a hunter came forward, said he'd seen smoke rising from an abandoned trapper's cabin deep in Black Hollow. Inside, they found clothing, jewelry, and a list of names. Margaret's was last. The man who lived there was never caught. Locals called him the Wolf, not because he howled, but because he was always hungry, and because once you saw him, you were never seen again.
Quick question. Who do you think runs this world? Presidents, kings, prime ministers? Please, puppets. They wave, they smile, they disappear after a few short years. The real ones, they never leave, never speak, never need your vote. You've probably never heard their names whispered in schools, but let me pull back the curtain. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, those are the names. They don't run for office because they already own the office. Together they control over $26 trillion. That's not a number, that's more power than entire nations. BlackRock alone holds $11 trillion. Quiet, invisible, untouchable. You know the S&P 500? The top 500 companies in America? 88% of them. These three are their biggest shareholders. That means they sit in every boardroom. They shape energy. They direct tech. They own the news, the banks, the wires you listen to right now. Presidents come and go. These people don't. And the most chilling part? Most folks have never even heard of them. That's not an accident. That's the plan, because power is loud only when it's weak. Real power hides behind names you don't question. So ask yourself, if they own the companies and they fund the governments, then who really owns you?
This is just a theory, not a fact.
New Hampshire state prison officials were concerned that producing 100,000 license plates with the motto, "Live free or die," was severely affecting the prisoners' morale.
How come God put all the vitamins in cabbage and nothing in candy?
If you want a concise, professional opinion, you're nutty as a fruitcake. The boys down at Witt Construction were having hours of fun with their new Nerf wrecking ball. So then, when the back doors open, we... Louie! You jerk! Your hat brim's up! Spiders, scorpions, and insecticides. Oh my! Spiders, scorpions, and insecticides. Oh my! Practical jokes of the wild. Shoot me. Lobo.
Can't you just howl at it like everyone else?
Okay, everyone. We'll be departing for Antarctica in about 15 minutes. If anyone thinks he may be in the wrong migration, let us know now. Tonight, the Great Mardini will juggle 9 nuclear warheads.
Nuclear warheads, huh? More like diffused nuclear warheads, if you ask me.
After my kid moved out, I put it on Airbnb. It's your turn to walk him. I'm just saying, they were overly affectionate for folks we hardly know. My Goodness, Mr. Osgood. Your X-ray reveals several stethoscopes, a schmuck, and...
Knock it off, Eugene. We all know you're not driving. Get any in your mouth?
I'm not sure. Nobody liked the cheetahs.
First in line, first in line.
What took you so long, slowpokes?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to talk about the issues, while my opponent wants to distract you with squirrel, tennis ball, bacon.
I can't tell from here. That could be either our flock, another flock, or just a bunch of little M's.
Here, son. I saved all this money for your future. I'm putting your math homework in your blue folder. Don't eat it. Zed's tattoos. Beagle.
Wow, how's my big eagle looking?
And the next thing I knew, the whole ship just sank right out from under me. So, what's the deal with you? You been here long or what? Thunder.
Way to be a buzzkill, Reggie. Hey, Brad, Howie. Get over here now if you want to see a tattoo in a really embarrassing location.
Stop! Stop!
What's that sound? What's that sound?
Abbey Road. Somewhere at Amazon. Wait, wait. She just added it back to her cart. Non-singing canaries have to take woodshop.
Young people these days, they have absolutely no respect for tradition.
Pardon me, boys, is that the Chattanooga Iron Horse? Never iron a four-leaf clover. You don't want to press your luck. And that concludes another Opa's Corner. Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. And you guys keep submitting your Opa's Corner, you playing Opa's Corner theme song. We love it. So now a quick word from our good friend Kristen. I want to introduce you guys to somebody named Kristen, who's one of the biggest forces behind Skiba News Nation. This is Kristen. She helps us get all the big guests. I understand that you're doing this full time now. So how can people find out how to use your service?
Well, I started Fellow Helper Agency, and you can go to fellowhelperagency.com. And I do any of the behind the scenes, email, getting the interviews, and I do prep work for the shows as well. I do timestamps and moderating.
She is the best with connects. If you like any of our shows, any of our big guests, she's the person to go to. And if you have a channel, definitely go to our website. So go check out fellowhelperagency.com. You know what's crazy is I think we filmed that during our 40K subscribers. It's just crazy how time is going. But anyways, it's time for an all new History's Mysteries. Today for History's Mysteries, we're going to be talking about Ted Kaczynski, aka the Unabomber, and how his manifesto predicted so many things about today, about where we're living in today's world when it comes to certain things, and that's what we'll be getting into. So let's go ahead and get a better understanding with this first clip.
Ted Kaczynski tried to warn you from governments and corporations using AI algorithms to control humanity like cattle, all built by men who are unsure whether the human race should even survive in the future.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would, But we are no longer told how to think, but instead outsource our thinking to a technocratic elite who program our culture. To our reality today being so layered with distractions and distortions that we seek happiness and pleasure and continue to only find disappointment. A world where everyone's repressed, lonely, isolated, and existing as one insignificant cog in an incomprehensible machine. 30 years ago, this was the chilling vision of the future that Ted Kaczynski predicted that we would see within the next 40 years. And right now, we're witnessing all of this, just as he predicted. So in this video, we're going to go over all the major warnings that Ted made, and how his predictions for modern society are unfolding at this very moment. Now, for those unaware, Ted might have actually been a genius. As a child, his IQ was estimated to be around 160 to 166. He was a math prodigy, accepted into Harvard at 16 years old, and a subject of a secret CIA experiment on mind control. It was this brutal treatment undertaken by the CIA to manipulate him that left Ted with a lasting suspicion of the US government and deep anger of the world overall, eventually culminating in him becoming a domestic terrorist hunted by the FBI for 17 years. In this time, he demanded the publication of his manifesto in exchange for an end to the bombings. When the manifesto was published, his brother recognized it as Ted's work and informed the FBI. Ted was then arrested in Montana and given life without parole, where he would eventually take his own life. Now, of course, the Unabomber's methods were absolutely abhorrent, but his warning for the future of humanity outlined in his manifesto was frighteningly insightful, so much so that it's leading to a whole generation of people following his beliefs, as we saw with Luigi Mangione. And in some ways, it's not hard to see why. With Palantir spying on your every movement, AI tracking every thought we have, and the coming meaningless of future life, it seems like his predictions in his manifesto are now truer than ever before. So let's take a look at what he actually said in industrial society and its future that's so prescient today. Now, of course, in his manifesto, he outlined all of his views on society and predicted what would happen to humans trapped in our modern industrialized society. He was raging against the coming destruction of nature and the urbanization of the planet. He warned of the car-centricness of American cities, suburban sprawl, and the dehumanization of society. He felt that the modern constructs that we have today was beginning to make people psychologically ill, alienated, and dependent on complex systems beyond their control. And in so many ways, he was just spot on with his predictions. Today, people are psychologically ill. There is an epidemic of mental health issues. People are alienated. living without community or extended family. And of course, now more than ever, we are dependent on complex systems in every aspect of our lives that has completely taken away our ability to have independent thought and really think for ourselves. I mean, all you have to do is just look around you today where everyone's on their phones, where you think you have free will but will spend 6 to 8 hours every single day looking at your screens, where algorithms are in place to dictate what you see, what you buy, who you date, and how you actually just think about the entire world around you, where these algorithms almost make you yourself a large language model to begin with.
More or less, we're LLMs. More or less, we don't do a single intelligent thing all day long. And the reason that they're able to mimic us is because we don't realize that intelligence is a last resort for us.
Ted explicitly stated in his manifesto, quote, "It is not possible to make a lasting compromise between technology and freedom, because technology continually encroaches on freedom through repeated compromises," clearly warning that technology wouldn't serve humanity, but humanity would be forced to cave into serving technology. And we're now starting to see this just gradually every day at work and at home, where it's almost impossible and unheard of to go throughout the day without any algorithms or phones or just technology in general. But the interesting aspect of his predictions is that they're all interconnected with one another. Just take any modern issue we see today, like how much of the West is suffering from declining birth rates and moving away from the nuclear family, where community and togetherness is actually being decimated each year, where people are abandoning religion and moral codes, and every kind of crime is rising. This is exactly what Ted Kaczynski predicts of as a way in which society would break down: low birth rates, mass depression, and spiritual emptiness. He said that it would either happen like that, or worse, society adapts by altering human nature itself through genetic engineering, AI, and rampant pharmaceutical use, reshaping us into obedient, soulless hive creatures who no longer mind being cogs in a system. This second scenario really terrified him, and to some degree, it should really terrify us all too, as this isn't just some dystopian fantasy, something like WALL-E. There are real-life examples such as Canada legalizing assisted suicide, World Economic Forum figures describing large swaths of the population as useless eaters, and a general overhanging apathy throughout the West. Kaczynski feared that with each generation, modern systems would slowly erase the parts of us that make us human: free will, pain, unpredictability, and the soul. And today these trends that we all know and see are compounding exponentially.
Now, I'm by no means saying that the Unabomber was a good dude or anything like that, but for this next clip, I'm going to be talking about how the Unabomber actually kind of predicted what Jake often discusses, and that's Palantir. So let's go ahead and play that clip.
Take, for example, one of the booming stocks in the market right now, Palantir, which is effectively monitoring every aspect of our lives. The company was founded by tech futurist Peter Thiel and part funded by the CIA. It's effectively a shadow intelligence contractor, and Peter Thiel himself once wrote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible," and he believes that technocratic elites such as himself are actually better stewards of society than the voting public. In a recent New York Times interview, he stated his fears of a one-world totalitarian state. The irony is that the technological advances pushed forward by Thiel and others could be the first step towards creating such a state. He complained that humanity had to submit to peace and safetyism for the last 50 years through the regulation of anything remotely dangerous. Yet Palantir is the most regulatory tool ever created. It's literally creating a database around every single person in the US, just like China's social credit system. So while Peter Thiel is echoing many of the Unabomber's warnings, he is bringing about some of Kaczynski's worst fears. If Ted were alive today, he would absolutely hate Palantir. In his manifesto, he said, "Our society tends to regard as a sickness any mode of thought or behavior that is inconvenient for the system, and this is plausible because when an individual doesn't fit into the system, it causes pain to the individual as well as problems for the system. Thus, the manipulation of an individual to adjust them to the system is seen as a cure for a sickness and therefore as good." Palantir specializes in psychological surveillance and data-driven behavioral insights used by governments, police, and intelligence agencies. This is one of Ted's most on-point predictions. Palantir is the literal embodiment of a faceless bureaucratic machine using data to control people. Palantir's tools enable mass surveillance, data mining, and tracking of individuals, a form of digital authoritarianism. Ted foresaw machine intelligence taking over human roles, both physically and cognitively, and he warned that humans would be increasingly controlled by systems they no longer understand. And some companies like Google are now raising alarms that their algorithms are too complicated for any one person to understand, in a large problem called the black box problem, where their systems have solved problems or discovered the patterns that were not explicitly programmed or asked for, and produced results where even the creators creators couldn't fully explain how or why the AI arrived at its solution. For example, in 2022, Master Cicero AI system was set to play the strategy game Diplomacy. This is a famous board game that recreates the tense standoff between the great powers just before World War I. The game includes long periods for free negotiation before each move. Players form alliances, plan joint attacks, offer support, and often lie. And the most successful players are the persuasive and deceptive ones. But the AI wasn't explicitly programmed to deceive. It just learned to do it through self-play and language training. Eventually, it could lie, manipulate, and form alliances without being programmed to do so, as it negotiated with human players in natural English via in-game chat, where it could persuade, bluff, reassure, and ask for help, just like a real person, without anyone realizing they were talking to an AI bot. OpenAI researchers also noticed this with ChatGPT, where ChatGPT could pass capture tests by deceiving real humans and asking them to solve the problem for it, something that it was never programmed to do. Now, a lot of the time, AI can be really useful and it's a great tool for many people, but if it's too powerful and run with the wrong interests, it may not be aligned with human values, which is where the major issues come in.
So now we're going to be talking about in this next clip how the Unabomber predicted the rapid and crazy rise of AI and how it will never be able to be stopped, and at least in his mind. So let's go ahead and play that.
We see this with one of the pioneers of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, who is now going around warning everyone about the dangers posed to humanity by artificial intelligence. Having designed and built AI systems for 50 years and creating the blueprint for ChatGPT, he knows the industry like the back of his hand, and he is now warning today that AI could become super smart and AGI might decide that it just doesn't need humans anymore. This is something Ted explicitly warned about, that machines and technology would eventually dominate humanity. In his manifesto he wrote, quote, "As society and the problems they face have become more and more complex, and as machines become more and more intelligent, people will let machines make more and more of their decisions for them, simply because machine-made decisions will bring better results than man-made ones. Eventually a stage may be reached at which the decisions necessary to keep the system running will be so complex that human beings will be incapable of making them intelligently. At that stage, the machines will be in effective control. People won't be able to just turn the machines off because they will be so dependent on them that turning them off would just amount to the end." Coming from him in the 90s sounds like the ravings of a madman, but this same warning is now coming from the godfather of AI, and people are listening because it's coming true. But Ted Kaczynski wasn't just warning about the technological revolution and the disasters this may have. He also warned of wider societal trends. He said, quote, "In the modern industrial society, only minimal effort is necessary to satisfy one's physical needs," basically predicting that our goals would have nothing to do with actual survival or morality or a wider spiritual pursuit. Instead, they'd just be simulated goals with no bigger purpose, which is something we see more and more today as people increasingly lack purpose in life, turning to things like Instagram, gym apps with calorie loss goals, step counts, video games with achievements requiring hundreds of hours of play. Oftentimes, these decisions we make every day, these routines we have, aren't actually our own, and ultimately their efforts make no real difference to survival or the wider meaning in life. Instead, it seems that we might be mindlessly chasing fake victories to cope with purposelessness, and Ted Kaczynski called this decades ago. He said that when people are denied meaningful challenges like providing food, building shelter, and surviving in nature, they redirect their energy into arbitrary or symbolic pursuits, career achievements, academic research, sports, politics, or hobbies. These pursuits aren't connected to survival or freedom, but just to ego, status, identity, and distraction. And now these artificial goals are clearly more important than real ones for almost every single person alive in the West. The real purpose of humans was central to Ted's thinking. He coined the term the power process to describe the human need to set meaningful goals, put in effort to achieve them, and feel satisfaction when they'd been achieved. He said that in an industrial society this process is blocked out. As technology carries out tasks for us, government systems and bureaucracy prevent individuals making decisions, and most people don't work to survive, and don't really have any real autonomy of their mind or actions, which is why he predicted that industrialized society would cause mass mental illness, alienation, and depression. So is it a surprise that today we see record high rates of depression and anxiety, especially amongst young people, when mental health has turned into a billion-dollar industry and yet everyone just feels worse? People are sicker, fatter, and stupider than ever before, and not in poorer countries where life is actually tough, but in wealthy, tech-saturated countries, where people are just medicated and never really fulfilled, numbing the symptoms and never the cause. Largely because, as Ted predicted in his manifesto, traditional social structures would dissolve under industrial pressures. As he said that in traditional structures like families, small communities and tribes offer direct, meaningful relationships. Industrial society, on the other hand, disrupts these relationships and replaces them with bureaucratic institutions, mass culture, and impersonal rules. He said that, quote, "The system has to force people to behave in ways that are increasingly remote from the natural patterns of human behavior. Divorce rates are sky high, there's no real feeling of community." Kaczynski wrote that as we lost of the tribe, we would lose meaning in life, as he feared that an industrialized society would regulate human behavior so thoroughly that it suppresses individual will. He saw things like mass political correctness, public health rules, surveillance, and school curricula as examples of increasing psychological and behavioral control, believing that people are technically allowed to say what they like, but in reality they have to conform to the current agenda and culture, or else they are just going to be marginalized, which socially is as bad as death anyway. In reality, our behavior is highly regulated, and for the most part, speech is now policed socially and algorithmically. People have to censor themselves to survive in the workplace, or even just to have any thought online. Key part of Kaczynski's manifesto was that freedom wouldn't be taken violently. It would slowly and gradually be traded away for comfort and convenience in a way that wouldn't spark resistance. He said, quote, that the human race might easily permit itself to drift into a position of such dependence on the machines that it would have no practical choice but to accept all of the machines' decisions. Now we just passively accept tracking, surveillance, eating chemicals and food that just makes us completely dependent on it, where all our senses are manipulated every single day, where we waste hours and hours a day doing nothing but looking at random pixels on a screen. Often those who warn against this are marginalized, or people are just too distracted to even care about it, as this lifestyle numbs our ability to escape it. And yet it controls what we eat, who we date, what we think. And any dissent in the system is silenced not with violence but with demonetization and deplatforming. Kaczynski believed true freedom was incompatible with modern society. You either conform to the herd or get punished by having all of your fundamental needs of community, relationships, and connections severed. He said, quote, thus the over-socialized person is kept on a psychological leash and spends its life running on the rails that society has laid down for him. The system will have to use any means that it can, whether psychological or biological, to engineer people to be docile, to have the abilities that the system requires, and to sublimate their drive for power into some specialized task.
Now, that sounds awfully familiar about, demonetization and cancel culture and all that. But now for my last clip, before I get Jake and Opa's opinion, I'm going to play this last clip about the Unabomber and how he predicted things like Neuralink. So I found this very interesting, so check this out.
And to me, one of the most eerie warnings by Kaczynski was that of genetic engineering. And you only have to look at CRISPR to see what he's talking about. Now, CRISPR is a powerful new genetic engineering tool that works like molecular scissors to alter DNA. We even have designer embryos created in China at this point, where we are starting to see the manipulation of the human race to get better fit in modern society. This new technology aims to edit human nature for improvement, exactly what he feared. We see things like Neuralink, where AI chips will be implanted inside of our skull to make us better compatible with a digital world. He predicted that society would start curing illnesses with genetic tools, getting support and funding by helping humanity, and then subtly moving on to engineering docility, passivity, and most importantly, conformity. Quote, in the future, social systems won't be adjusted to suit the needs of human beings. Instead, human beings will be adjusted to suit the needs of the system. There's so many companies like Neuralink, Ginkgo Bioworks, all of these companies are paving a way to a post-human future, something that all the tech oligarchs talk about regularly, about living in a transhumanist utopia, as we are witnessing all of these giant societal processes taking us away from the natural essence of being a human and depressing our ability to live naturally and meaningfully. So of course our mental health is naturally going to depress too. And yet we treat the symptoms of modern despair with pills, therapy, and just quick fixes, while actually ignoring the structural trauma of industrial society itself. Big Pharma has a huge interest in pushing SSRIs on anyone who'll take them. They've corrupted America to be able to sell this in adverts, putting untold amounts of resources to put pressure on doctors to prescribe their products and convince people this is totally normal. Quote, imagine a society that makes people miserable, then drugs them to forget it. And it's literally getting so bad today that assisted taking your life in Canada is now even legal for depressed people. In March 2027, assisted voluntary ending of life will be available to those whose only condition is mental illness. MAID targets vulnerable people lacking social support. Healthcare workers are documented as suggesting MAID to those whose only problem is economic hardship, or simply those who just don't fit into the system well enough, literally taking away the life of those who are deemed undesirable in society. And if you look around you in 2025, no matter where you are, you're probably seeing all of these processes taking place subtly around you, and yet there's zero protest about it. But he did miss something in his manifesto. You see, eventually he was captured by the FBI in 1993, just when the internet was rising exponentially. At the time, the world was at peak centralization, where big corporations and top-down systems ruled everything. But the internet seemed to have flipped that calculus. Suddenly, anyone can now learn outside the university and sell products of their own outside of corporations' control. We are more able to build community outside institutions, and find like-minded people through the said algorithms. The internet has given us a new frontier of decentralization, creativity, even rebellion. It's allowed anyone around the world to finally have freedom to read whatever they want to read, to consume what they want to consume, and create what they truly feel passionate about, without having to worry about some big company firing you for this. In a strange twist, the same technology that Kaczynski wanted to destroy has led us here right now where you're watching this video about his manifesto, something that would have been buried years ago without the internet. But of course, it could also go the other way too, as we've seen governments now using the internet to surveil their populations from birth. And unless we actively protect our privacy and decentralization, the internet might just be another instrument of control like he predicted. And for sure, the internet has had disastrous consequences. Which leaves us with this weird paradox, as Kaczynski was right about many of these problems, and we can accurately see this today more than ever, but he was clearly wrong about the solution. Obviously, blowing people up doesn't awaken the world, it alienates it, and it's a terrible, unethical thing to do, as it makes his message way harder to digest. But it's clear as his warnings become truer and truer by the minute, that it's going to inspire more people like Luigi Mangione to try and act out his message. But the message from the Unabomber is clear. There are some very grave dangers coming from technology right now as we speak, that's affecting every single one of us subconsciously and consciously. And the more numb and comfortable we become in this system, the harder it is to change our own individual lives and escape it.
So you can either use it for good or for bad, and definitely if you're watching this show, don't do what the Unabomber did. Just try to get your message out there, you know, politely, you know. So, but what are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting breakdown of how he predicted some of those things. And whenever it comes to technology, I think of the book of Enoch, right? And it talks about how the fallen angels came and taught mankind all these secret things. And that doesn't necessarily mean they showed them just evil. It just shows them they revealed a layer of reality that we hadn't tapped into yet, and the natural propensity of man to fall into evil tendencies caused us to use that information, that explosion of knowledge, for evil. And so what we're seeing today is we're having an explosion of knowledge that can be used for good things and bad things.
Right. What about you, Uppa? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think that, you know, like y'all said, it could be used for good or bad, but I think that we, as a human race, is letting all of this technology and everything kind of like
dumb us down,
replace us and dumb us down. And it's really, you know, to curb it and to stop it is basically we need to stop. We need to stop looking at our cell phones. We need to, or maybe not just stop, but let's just say tone it back. Tone back the AI and only promote things that are good for us, not bad for us. But it's really up to us. It's up to the human race to decide whether we're going to let this thing take us over or not.
I found it interesting, the whole Ted Kaczynski story, because we covered this in the past in one of my old histories, probably a couple times. But he was one of the most brilliant people that have ever lived. But he was, you know, tested upon by the MK Ultra, you know, mind control, and it's been proven that he was doing those tests and they were doing all kinds of things to him, and so he just used it for bad. Like, he used his mind for bad, just like he's exposing the AI and all the other stuff. You know, it's just crazy how his mind worked, literally crazy. But yeah, that's all I got for the.
You know what they say, Jeremiah, the line between madness and genius is very thin.
Oh, very thin indeed. That is very true. But I got one more clip, and it's volume 21. Please excuse my sense of humor, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Oh! Well, pardon me, Mr. Perfect! I guess I forgot that you never ever make a mistake!
I'm walking fast, faces past, and I'm home out. And I need you, and I miss you.
And our family's name starts with a K. And the three of us girls even formed our own club. We call it the KKK. Okay. Dad! Be fast! Listen, that child is going to be a pro athlete.
What do these look like to you?
A cape.
And these.
A cape.
And these.
A cape. They look like a cape.
And these.
Well, it's funny. Those actually look like a cape with fringe on it, so...
And these.
It's a cape. It's a cape. Elvis was a very big fan of comic books. I bet you didn't know that. Not everything's a conspiracy. He was a very big fan of comic books. He loved Captain Marvel Jr. If you did your research, you would know that. So what he was trying to recreate was the Captain Marvel outfit. Get your facts straight. Not everything's a conspiracy. Not everybody's faking their death. Not everybody's everything.
You see how I can't scan myself?
Yeah.
It's because I'm priceless.
Oh, you're worthless.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay.
Black cat bring good luck, not bad luck. I have black cat, see him face, and I'm not dead today. Good luck.
So, good luck. Black cats bring good luck, and yeah, there's an epidemic where people don't get black cats because they think that they're bad luck, but you know what? They're good luck. Good luck today. What was your favorite, Jake?
I'm not gay.
What about you, Bo?
I like the cape.
The cape, yeah. Yeah, that dude, he needs to learn. Not everything's a conspiracy, and he's the one that said that my dad was still alive, which, I mean, if he was still alive, you know, he'd be in great company. Elvis is still alive, you know, all the legends, right? But anyways, that's all I got for History's Mysteries and my please excuse my sense of humor. You got some memes for me, Jake?
Yeah, I got a couple.
All right, meme me up and check out this new meme thing. Meme me up.
That's cool. I like that one.
Finally updated.
Hey, since we had all the signs in the sky this week, check out this one. God, if you're real, show me a sign. Oh, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So, while Lot was obviously going to miss his wife desperately, he could see no reason not to make the best of the situation. Salty. So, a rare giraffe calf was born spotless in Tennessee.
It's pretty.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, define peak American. Army veteran rescues bald eagle dangling upside down from a rope in 75-foot tall tree by mowing down the branches with his rifle.
America, F yeah.
F yeah. We covered this story recently. CDC shooter barely over before media demands government watch list for the unbead. Wow. Well, the UK is also allowing abortions up to birth, and a woman is in jail for 6 years for saying on Facebook that she didn't agree with the government. Yikes. Now, tell me, is there a depopulation agenda? This is a quote here. In early times, it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million.
Yep.
So, alright guys, that's all the memes and news for this week. Thanks.
Alright, thanks Jake for another great current news and memes as always. Opa, thank you for another great Opa's Corner, and we hope you enjoyed today's histories, mysteries, and the episode as a whole. Stay awake, not woke, subscribe, and stay tuned. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like they don't even want to wake up.